Hello, welcome back to Open for Business. My name is Elizabeth Poole, and I'm a Public Relations Coordinator with Carriage Trade Public Relations and Cecilia Russo Marketing. Just as a quick recap, and for everyone new that will be joining in just a few minutes, and kind of as we prepare to start this month's session. Open for Business is an online article review. We meet on the last Wednesday of every month at noon to go over a new article regarding business and public relations and marketing. We'll always have an event page created for each month's meeting that'll have the hashtag, which is VizTeam 2018. We encourage you to use it throughout all of our sessions. And then we'll also post the article there for you to look at before the meeting each month so that you can kind of go over it and read it and come with your questions. So we would love for this to be a two-way engaged conversation. Any questions and thoughts that you have, please leave them here in the comment section, and we'll try to get back to you either during or after the live stream. But this month we are talking about email signatures. The link was posted there in our event page. So we will just kind of jump right in. This month we had an article posted by Kristen on Mailbird, and I know that email signatures sounds like kind of a straightforward and simple topic, but it is something that your company should just touch on quarterly, monthly, yearly, however you want to do it. And it can be so easy to just kind of put that at the end of your to-do list and at the end of your company's goals and whatnot, but it does need to be updated and stay fresh. Kristen writes here that online visitors get a first impression of your brand in less than 0.2 of a second. So when people are receiving emails from your company's employees or your company's email, they are going ahead and forming those first impressions right when they're seeing anything brand related. So we'll get right into all of that. But without further ado, I want to go ahead and start with the first point that Kristen makes here. And this will kind of be our rule of thumb throughout the entire discussion today. But she just says to keep it simple. And that is so, so true. Your email signature should really just be an additional bonus to the body of your email to provide whoever is receiving your emails just additional information, the best way to contact you. It should be boom, 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 easy for them. So again, the main focus of your emails, I would hope, is that content, and you don't want to do or provide anything there that is distracting to the body of your email. So she says here that it's best to include your name, title, company, and phone number. She actually includes your company's website as optional, but I would consider that a must. This article was published in 2016, and just 2 years later, if someone's receiving your email, then they're already online, and it'll be so easy for them to just go straight to your company's website. Definitely include the link to that in your email signature. And she also says not to include your email address because that would be redundant or unnecessary, but I would love to hear your opinion on that. Sometimes when you're forwarding emails and you're not keeping that original sender or whatnot, you might kind of, that original email's address might get lost. So I personally do find it helpful when there is an email in the signature of the original email so that people can just kind of see it and keep it on their records quick, and it's easy. But I would love to hear if you think that's redundant or if you think that it is, in fact, helpful. Moving on to number 2, Kristen says to use color. This is something that can easily get to be very distracting. It is also helpful if you have an email signature generator. And if you have good ones that you use, we'd love to hear about those as well. Which ones that you found work best, what are the most easiest to use, which ones are most customizable and whatnot. But using colors can be helpful to kind of bring your entire email signature back on brand. Again, though, they can be really distracting if you don't use them right. 1 to 2 colors maximum is quite enough. And definitely make sure that they are your company's colors, that they're not just random colors. And we'll talk about in a little bit adding a logo. That could always just kind of provide a little pop of color, and then everything else could be black or white. But this is definitely up to you. It can be an added reinforcement of your brand's image, but don't let it get too distracting for your recipients. So Kristen in number 3 says to limit information, and this is a huge one. If you're going to have an email signature, which you should because it does standardize your emails, it does help you cut back on time when writing emails, knowing that all of your information is just already there at the end. But don't include too much. Let your email recipients do a little bit of research on their own after they've received your emails. You definitely want to keep this to like maybe a 5-line thing. Like we said, name, business, phone number, company website, and email are good. And we'll talk about a little bit later how to add in those extra graphics such as a logo and a headshot and your social icons. But don't include 7 different numbers to reach you on and 3 of your best emails and every single title that you've ever held. Make sure that this is concise and that it's quick and that the recipients of your emails can really just find the necessary information they need, and anything else they have the necessary links to find that information. So moving on to number 4, I just mentioned it, is adding a headshot. At first when I read this and I saw it, I was like, well, that's a little bit much. But after a little bit of thought, I do kind of think that that could be helpful. I would love to hear what y'all have to think about that. But a lot of introductions right now are being made over email. A lot of the introductions that we do are over email, and then we'll eventually later meet them in person. So having a headshot can be helpful to kind of put a face to the name. And then when you do meet that person in real life, then you kind of have an idea of who to look out for. Again, don't have the headshot larger than the email signature itself. Make sure that your headshot is updated and that it is clean looking, that it's not distracting again. It usually goes best to the left-hand side of your email. But that's something that you should definitely maybe look into. If your headshot looks really nice, try it out. Again, a generator could help you format that nicely and make it look a little bit better. But definitely something to consider here, especially if each employee of your company has a separate email address and they're all sending out different ones. It could be helpful for each employee to have their headshot there as well. Number 5 says to include your logo, which again I touched on a minute ago. The logo is a great place to kind of add in that pop of color, as I mentioned before. What you really need to pay attention to here is the shape of your logo, because that'll depend on where it goes. Again, don't let your logo be larger than the signature or overpowering or distracting. It should just be another way to reinforce your brand's image in that email signature. The example that Kristen provides here, I don't love. It's in the middle of the email signature, and I think that they usually look best at the end. Rectangular and square logos typically go best at the end. If you do have a circular or more vertical logo, then those might be best to the side in place of a headshot. But logos are a great thing to include. That way you're just reinforcing your brand and just kind of making that, keeping everything back to your brand's image. Number 6 is awesome. Love that they included this in here. It says balance your content. It can be so easy to kind of just come up with this email signature, include everything that you need to include, but it's not really balanced and aesthetically pleasing. One best way to make sure that your email signature is simply an additional bonus and not a distraction from the content of your email is to make sure that you are paying attention to balance content, type, and imagery, which Kristen lists out there. And she says to pay special attention to the hierarchy of design, which there's plenty of information online about that and tips about that. And again, those email signature generators are great for helping you lay those things out and whatnot. One of the worst things, though, and I'm not sure if y'all have ever encountered this, though, is when you get an email and then at the end there's this huge email signature, everything's kind of mismatched and out of place, and it's really distracting, and it's hard to find the information from the body of those emails. So you want to make sure that this is concise, it's pretty, it's on brand, and that it is aesthetically pleasing for anyone getting your emails. 7 here is a great one. Definitely something that this would be an update in the past couple of years. If you have an email signature that you haven't updated, this would be a good thing to change about it, is social media icons. And on those generator websites, they should have ways for you to add in those icons. But this just makes it easier for anyone receiving your emails to easily click on your social media sites and kind of see what's there. If you have registered for, say, 10 social media sites, so they don't all need to go there, maybe choose somewhere between 3 and 5 social sites that you are active on that you can include there. Again, though, if you have, say, 5 social sites and you're only really posting active content on 2, then only include the 2. You don't want to include icons that go to pages that are inactive or they don't have content from anything from 2018. It's all from last year. And again, it's kind of up to your company whether your employees decide to include their personal social pages, if those are creative or professional, or if you just include those company pages. I think my personal recommendation would be to include those company pages because that's kind of usually what your email recipients want to see. But those do look nice, and they are a great way for your email recipients just to quickly see them and have the option of clicking on those. Number 8, Kristen says to include a call to action. Not sure about this. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on if you think that an additional call to action is necessary. She says the example that she includes here, it has like a larger thing that says visit our blog. Not sure that I love that. I think that that can get a little bit distracting from the body of the email and can get a little bit too salesy, if you ask me. If you do have a blog that, say, you post on daily, or you have something that you really encourage everyone that you're in communication with to sign up for in regards to your company, most definitely you could include a small link there. I wouldn't do it quite as big as she's included in this example here, but I think with all of the links that we've already mentioned to provide, so your company's website and your social sites, and then your basic contact information, I really don't think that you need the call to action. I think that that could just be something that could be found on the homepage of your website, unless that's something huge. If you encourage everyone that's part of your company and in communication with your company to sign up for something, that you could include it there, a little bit smaller than the one that she provides. 9, she says to share company information, which seems a little bit redundant because, we've just said to include your company name, logo, address, and all that good stuff. But what she's talking about here is awards. This could be a little bit distracting and unnecessary, but if you have a huge national award that you've won and you would like to include, I guess that could be helpful. The 2 that she provided in her example look nice. I would scale them down a little bit so as not to be distracting from the more pertinent information in your email signature. But that's definitely that would be a bonus for your email signature. It's definitely not something that I would say you need to definitely include, but it could be helpful if you have a huge award that could really position your company in relation to others. And then finally, number 10 says to design for mobile, and I think that this is one of the most important points. Everyone is opening emails on smartwatches, tablets, phones. It's, hardly ever at your computer anymore. So making sure that your signature is compatible across multiple devices, multiple platforms is very helpful and critical. You never want your email signature to prevent your email from being opened or really mess up the layout of the email, or again, distract from the body of the email. So whenever you update it, or if you don't have one, if you create one, do check it across multiple platforms, ask multiple people to open it and see how it looks, and make sure that formatting stays the same across all platforms. That will be helpful for you and for your recipients. So that is kind of email signatures in a nutshell. Again, I kind of said we would make this one a little bit quicker since February is a shorter month in general. I know that everyone's probably having crazy weeks as we're approaching the end of this month. But if you have favorites of your email signatures, if you've seen some that clients or others have sent you that you just think, wow, that looks awesome, and it's just the right amount of information, please do post those here and send them to us. We'd love to see them. And if you have good generators that you use, to create email signatures, we would love to know about those as well. So without further ado, if you have any questions, please send those to us at savannahpublicrelations@gmail.com. Next month on March 28th, which again is the last Wednesday of the month, we will be talking about how to build an engaged community on LinkedIn, which will be a little bit longer discussion. We wanted to keep this one brief again, but please do leave your comments, questions, suggestions, and any helpful sites and examples that you've found across the way and through going through all of your emails. And we hope that you have a great week. And you can always tune into this video again right here on our page or on our YouTube. But thank you all for tuning in, and have a great rest of your day.